What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the In the Dome. We suck again. Podcast. Well, I'm glad we touched on this last week. The yo-yo Flames. We've been yo-yo for how many seasons now? It seems like it's part of our actual true identity.
Just flipping, they're flopping. It's all over the place. Well, you know what's going to happen. I knew as soon as we did that last episode where I was like, oh, if they have a good week, like I'm going to be a believer and maybe they can make the playoffs.
We're starting to believe. It's such a great, fun time to be a Flames fan again.
4 straight losses, which is honestly good. Like I've been quite honest that I'm totally on Team Tank, and like any notion of like winning or whatever, I'm like begrudgingly accepting. But my ultimate goal here is to get as high a draft pick as possible. So this is all gravy for me.
I would happen to agree with you.
Yeah.
I like my DNA. I can't sit and cheer for a loss actively, but after the game's all said and done and there's a L in the column, I'm happy as pie.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think part of it is because you look at last week. You even said, oh, look at the upcoming schedule. Look how shitty these opponents are. And I'm like, we're fucked. We're playing 4 bad teams. We're doomed.
Well, and this is kind of what this has been the MO of this group in general for the last 2.25 seasons, right? Is right when there's a chance, kind of like push through a threshold and like, hey, we are a good team. We are a playoff team. This happened time after time. The Sutter year, it happened last year. They fall flat on their faces and show you why, yeah, they're not a playoff team every single time. Every single time there's a legitimate chance to be like, yeah, we are a good team. We aren't who you think we are. They fall flat on their face.
Yep. And I think we touched on it last week. I believe that's because it's one of these things. Like if anybody's read any, like, the secret to success, like whatever, you read sports psychology, you read success books growing up. Success is a challenge in and of itself. Sometimes it's easier to be the underdog.
Yeah.
But as soon as now you're expected to win, how do you deal with the success? And some people can't handle it. And a lot of times you revert right back to your true identity, which is mid, essentially. And we talked about it last week. It was a good opportunity last week for Huska to coach his way into another threshold. Is it possible? Is it doable? And I think it just comes down to this. It's a philosophical hockey sports question is, can you win without elite talent? You can, but it's fucking a grind. And I think what we're seeing is it speaks to the skill versus effort.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yes, effort can beat skill. I had my ringer on, and now you know what my ringer is.
All I heard was bah.
Oh, it's the Ring of Fire is my Johnny Cash. My ringtone.
Nice.
Forgot to turn that off before I started the show. That's a faux pas 101, on podcasting.
What are you, new to this?
I should give my pee-pee a slap, eh?
Yeah.
Slap my own pee-pee? I guess that wouldn't be too much of a punishment, though, would it? Am I allowed to say that on this thing?
You'd probably like that, actually.
Is that over the line?
I don't think so.
So, skill versus effort. Can effort beat skill? Absolutely, it can. Can it beat skill consistently over 82 games? No, it can't. I remember like a few seasons ago, it was Elliot Friedman making this point because we had Johnny Gaudreau on the team putting up 80-plus points a season. And it was all about, should the Flames add? What should they do? Because we're kind of like mid. And Friedman straight up's like, Gaudreau, when you have a guy like Gaudreau on your team, Gaudreau gets you into the playoffs. If you have skill, you have elite talent on your team, you have enough of it, you don't need to put forth these, what is it? Herculean efforts every single night. And I think what you're seeing is, oh, fuck, we got 4 terrible teams coming up on the schedule. We're fucked. It's because these guys, you saw it from day one in training camp. The coaching staff, management, Conroy, They've done a fantastic job of setting the identity and the mentality on how they want to approach the season. Yeah, we're playing the underdog card 100%. We're going to come out work you. That's our identity. Be the hardest working team in the NHL. You've heard it from the top down. Players are saying it. Coaches are saying it. It's what they want to brand themselves as. Problem is when you don't have elite skill to go with it, it's a fucking grind, dude. The 82 games is already a grind enough as it is. And I think that's why, coming back to this Elliot Friedman comment on Gaudreau, it's just like, no. Skill over an 82 game stretch is what gets you into the playoffs. You don't have enough of it, the best we're probably going to actually be is probably mid.
Well, how many games?
I don't know if we have enough skill, even with being the hardest working team in the league, to make the playoffs after an 82 game season.
Dude, you're winning games because unless the goaltending is perfect or next to near perfect, you're not going to win. Because what was that stat? They haven't scored 3 or more goals in a game for like 17 games or something.
It's insane.
It's crazy. Like they've been able to pull it off a little bit here, but you go back to what? Freaking they beat Pittsburgh in a shootout 4-3, but you didn't actually score 4 goals. I think the last time they scored 4 goals was against the Oilers when they beat the Oilers in Edmonton. It's way back.
And you're always trailing, and sometimes when you get to 2 or 3, it's late in the game or it's third period push. So
you're relying on Wolf to be like, hey, you can let 2 in, maybe you can let 2 in. That's the only way we can win. So,
and you're gonna have to hold them off all game because we're not gonna do fuck all until the last 15 minutes of the game. That's when we show up.
And the fact that like not only do we, because I kind of see it like I don't even know if we necessarily don't have skill, but the skill we do have is not performing at the level they should be. So that was kind of my pushback to like, okay, we can maybe make the playoffs off of Wolf being amazing. Was like, hey, if we have a one forward who shows up starts getting on track for more than like 45 points, maybe, but Kuzmenko has 1 goal. Huberdeau's on pace for like 40 something points. Gaudreau's on pace for like 40 something points. Sharangovich, like up and down the lineup. So it's not even that we don't have the skill. It's that even the guys who are skilled on this team are, for whatever reason, maybe it's a systems thing, maybe it's a teammate.
Well, it's got to be.
Nobody is scoring goals at all. It's insane.
Let's get into that. Is it a Huska systems thing? Maybe these guys, nobody feels like it's freewheeling hockey and we're just trying to grind out every single win because that's basically what it is.
I think that's part of it for sure. I think that's maybe why you see a guy like Kuzmenko has really struggled to put up numbers. They're playing a pretty simple dump and chase, pretty defensive first, not creative style of hockey.
Is Huberdeau leading the team in forwards?
I think he is. I think he is now. Kirkland was for a while in terms of 5-on-5 scoring.
When Huberdeau is leading your forward group and is only on pace for 45 points this season, you're not making the fucking playoffs.
Well, it looks like Kadri now actually has 15 points. So him first, Huberdeau second with 14. But the point remains.
Same shit.
Like, how many points are those guys on pace for?
Not great, Bob.
49 points for your leading scorer. That's unheard of. Like, you go back to 2004 when, like we were talking about last time, when like Sean Donovan and Craig Connor were the 2 and 3 scorers with like 40 something points, and then Iggy had like 70. You don't have even a 70 guy, so it's pretty slim pickings.
Well, you're just not scoring goals, and like you said, unless Wolf is flawless, which
legitimately flawless, which he was for like 2 weeks there.
Yep. And I think he can play flawless hockey for, a good portion of games. I think he's that good. But enough games? It's not like he's an actual fucking wall. When you're killing 9 fucking penalties a night,
well,
you're gonna get scored on.
The Detroit game, right? Like,
what, the overtime call?
You couldn't score 2 goals in that game, right?
No, you couldn't. Detroit. What wasn't it? Detroit has allowed the most goals.
That was Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
But Detroit has scored I think the Flames currently per 60 minutes at 5-on-5, and only Detroit and Nashville score fewer goals. So you lost to a team who's been scoring at even strength. You've been lost to a team who's been scoring less than you somehow. And then Pittsburgh, that was funny too, because even Greg Millen was talking about it. Columbus too. It was like these teams like bleed chances. If you just get on them, you can get, it's like two teams that are really poor defensively. Pittsburgh's allowed the most goals in the entire league. And it's like, they almost shut us out. We're like 10 minutes away from being shut out by Pittsburgh. It was just like, oh man.
Insane.
This is anemic. So I don't know if I think it is systems a little bit or a lot. But what I'm surprised, because I'm just surprised mostly with like Kuzmenko and Kadri's, because they look so great, especially together down the stretch last season. Like, I really thought we had an elite. And I guess, that's ultimately we all kind of bought into the Kuzi hype pretty quick because he had such great success so early.
He was so entertaining and like,
oh yeah, it was crazy.
He was good to finish. He was electric the season last year.
And so it was like, holy shit, we got this guy. Like, we have probably a 40 goal guy here playing with Kadri, who they had some chemistry. I don't think you expected Kadri to repeat what he did last year, but maybe if he's good for 25 goals, 60 points, like that's a pretty decent top line to have. And they've just like, even though he leads the team in scoring, Kadri has been an absolute disaster on the ice 5-on-5. It's probably hurting Kuzmenko's game as well. But you're seeing probably what you saw Vancouver fans warning about when we got Kuzmenko was like, looks good now, but just wait till he hits one of his cold spells.
That's what this is? Dude, this is like we're 25 games in.
This is it's just a quick 25 game cold spell.
Just half a season cold spell. Just a half a season cold streak. No big
well, the thing is, I don't even think he's been that bad. And I'm just like, holy fuck, he's got one goal. And it came, when did he score it? Like 2 games into the season? 1 goal, dude. He's on pace for like 4 goals. He had 14 goals in 29 games to round out the season last year. He was on fire. It was just like him and Postel and Kadri looked amazing together. And now they've just been like,
well, here's best case scenario is you're out of the playoff picture.
Yeah.
And 30 games from now, he heats up, he goes on a fucking tear, and then you get something of value for him.
That's something a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This scoring goals thing is going to be a problem. It is a little surprising because we thought they were going to be better than people expected because of some of the talent they had, not because of how well the goaltending was going to be and maybe being stingy defensively. We thought it was going to be flipped.
So if it is a systems thing, does Huska need to change the systems up here? Give these guys a little more. How come we're hearing the world's smallest fucking violin right now because the coach won't let them play offense? Remember with Daryl Sutter days?
Yeah, it was like he's preventing Huberdeau from scoring. If Daryl Sutter wasn't here, Huberdeau would have 115 points again. He'd be allowed to do whatever he wants.
He's putting the governor on his production.
He's just completely ruining these skilled players. Well, Huska's kind of been doing the same thing. They play a pretty similar game. Don't hear as much complaining about it. Sorry, my cat just bumped my camera.
He's all over the place today.
Oh man. But
just wants to be on the show.
I think you were posting, Jay Fresh had some stats he was posting today just in terms of like, in terms of like teams or player speed, like the slowest players in the league this year.
Third.
Kuzmenko's like the 3rd slowest player in the league this year by like speed bursts. And, I'm just thinking back, like watching him, like he does kind of make those kind of electric plays, but it's like he's looking for a play. It's not like Huberdeau when it's like Huberdeau's just can't make plays and he's just like sending freaking pizzas all over the place. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, it feels like Kuzi is like the plays are there, but like his line mates either, aren't in sync with them or don't really know where they go or are up to that skill level. That's what's kind of confusing me with the Kuzmenko thing right now. Like I said, I'm surprised he only has like 9 points because when I watch him, I'm like, yeah, he's like, looks like he's, he looks dangerous. So I don't know, dude. It's a line mate thing. It's an overall team skill thing. It's a system. It's a lot of things. They're just not a very well-equipped team to win in the NHL every single night unless Wolf is on his game.
Well, coming back to the Elliott Friedman thing, if a guy like Gaudreau gets you into the playoffs, if you have no guys like Gaudreau, you don't have a guy on pace for 50 points. There's no forward on pace for at least 50 points currently. So
if
you're not making the playoffs scoring at that rate.
Oh, exactly. Like you're gonna make the play. You're gonna win. Wolf's gonna have the fourth best save percentage in the entire league all year, and you're just gonna like win games too. This isn't 2005, 2006 NHL anymore, right? You're playing shitty teams like Ottawa and Pittsburgh, and if you're not like absolutely on top of your game, you're still getting beat. So when the margin of error is that thin and nobody's scoring, you're gonna be in tough. And even though they are still in a playoff spot at American Thanksgiving,
barely just hanging on by a thread now. Colorado's right there. You telling me they're going to make the playoffs over Colorado?
Well, I don't think so.
Colorado will be catching those guys.
And I know we were kind of looking at last week being like the Pacific Division so mid, like LA meh, Vancouver meh. The Oilers have obviously come on. They're like 7-2-1 in their last 10. The Avs are coming on a little bit, and there is still a lot of meh. But when it's all said and done, like when you're the 30th team in the league at scoring goals at 5-on-5. And that's what's so annoying is the power play was going pretty good there for a while, and they can't score at 5-on-5. It's crazy. So I said last week, I've already let that pick go in my mind. I've got it back now.
You're hanging on to it. Well, it's the yo-yo effect.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's review this season. You start 5-0-1. Everybody's like, holy shit. Yeah. This is probably not going to last, but man, is it fun? You go 1-5-0 after that, and you go, oh, here we go. Yeah, it'll come back down here. Then you go 5-1-2. You say, oh shit. Well, you know what? If we can, that's last week. If we can keep getting elite goaltending and no one can ever score a goal on us, we can scrape out 1-0 wins all season long.
Why do they always fucking get us into this? It's like that Dave show. It's gotcha, bitch. Every time. I felt like you'd think I had learned after freaking 20 years being
I swear, baby, I've changed.
Exactly. You think I'd learned? Apparently not. I'm like, oh, they're gonna make the playoffs. It's gonna be we suck.
Oh yeah, I just drank a bottle of whiskey and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you again.
So let's remember this one.
Is that too violent? Is that too
I think that's fine.
I mean, that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just
a very abusive relationship.
Yeah. It's
extremely abusive.
I'm back. I've changed. It's going to be better. No, it
isn't. And they know how to get us. Eh? They just wait until we're all like, these guys blow. We don't care.
Yeah.
Then they go on a win streak.
Single.
And then everyone, we're just like, it's not even like they wait until it's enough games. We're like, holy shit, maybe let's, and then it's just
this is exactly what happened last year. Exactly, right? Because it was like every week we'd come on and be like, they're in a playoff spot or they're 2 points out.
We're right there. If they can just do this and do this.
4-game losing streak, Huberdeau doesn't score the entire month, and we're like pulling our hair out again. And it's like a win streak. And it's like, well, fuck, they're like right back in it. And like everyone else in front of them is like kind of sucking right now. And the division's mid and like all these things. And then, everything.
All right. This segment is brought to you by Bet365, proud partner of Flames Nation. Open account. Open one up with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Use code NATION. All caps, NATION. How do we do for our anytime goal scorers last week?
I was picking.
Oh, wait. We didn't score any goals.
We, how many goals did we score?
3?
Like 3? Scored 3 against Ottawa, which was pretty cool. Scored 1 against Detroit. Managed to squeak out a couple against the Penguins in Columbus. So...
Ooh, garbage time. Huberdeau.
Yeah, that's Hubie.
That's what you do.
That's what you do when the Flames are down. That's like never fails when the Flames are down. Like it's usually down by like 3 or 4, right?
Yeah. Was it 5-0? The Pens go up.
Yeah.
I'm like, send me that Huberdeau meme, please, of him driving the tank. We're so back. Fire that up on Twitter. We're so back. Huberdeau driving the tank. Scores like a minute later. Of course.
Yeah.
And then like literally that's him literally leading the tank. Literally, that's what he's doing. He's leading it. He's leading the tank.
He's the tank commander, man.
He's outside of Calgary. He's right there for leading.
I think he's right there because at least Gaudreau was like good last year and the year before. So he's not even the tank commander. He's like the tank engineer, man. He like designed this whole tank. So
Did you see that segment with was it Kiprios?
Yeah, Justin Bourne and Kyprios.
Yeah, on their show.
Yeah.
And Kiprios is like, man, how did they get out of this contract? And then Justin Bourne's like kidding around. He's like, oh yeah, he's only got 2 more years, right? And Kiprios like, oh, is it just 2 more years? Really? No, it's a lifetime still.
It's still six after this. No big deal.
Oh,
people,
God, okay.
It's funny. People don't really realize like the pickle we're in with that outside of Calgary.
The other anytime goal scorers, I don't know if we touched on this. Yeah, Flames killers. So who are we playing this week?
We got the Blue Jackets tomorrow, the Johnny game tomorrow. Then we got the Blues on Thursday and Dallas on Sunday.
Okay, we got Johnny Gaudreau. We're going to touch on some Johnny Gaudreau stuff here, second half of the show. But there's going to be some excellent juju in the building. I think the Flames pull out a win in Calgary. I got a feeling Backlund's going to score a big goal.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Rasmus, maybe.
The St. Louis Blues, do they still have what is his name again? Tinted Violet Perron?
I don't know where is he in Detroit now or something? Yeah, but he was always a Flames killer, eh? I feel like here's who's going to be the new Flames killer is Dylan Holloway, Calgary boy, ex-Oiler.
Oh, 100%.
We really should have gone through with that offer sheet. That would have been worth it for sure. I think he's
so. Yes, that was. Did you know that? The article came out today. Oilers Nation posted this. The Flames were considering offer sheeting Holloway and what's his pickle? The other guy, Broberg.
Yeah, Merrick reported this on his show, on his new show. We share a network with Jeff Merrick.
Go figure.
Are we on? This is crazy. We really are on like Make-A-Wish. We're like the Make-A-Wish kids of the network. We're just like, oh, we're happy to be here. But I think Merrick reported this. This was kind of the rumor in the summer was that the Flames had looked into doing this and were very keen on it, but just ultimately didn't. It would have been such a great move, though.
Right?
Hey,
that would have been amazing.
That would have been some like Brian. I know Lowe offer sheeted the guys in Anaheim when Brian Burke was the GM there, but that's would have been exactly what we needed for this Battle of Alberta to stop being so lame and stupid and pointless. It would have been it wouldn't have been like adding Kachuk back into it, but it would have been like added some spice back into it for sure, especially since Holloway's a Calgary kid. And they're both really good players too. That's what's funny too. So I'll throw Dylan Holloway out there as an anytime goal scorer this week.
Okay, so for sure, for sure Monahan is going to score. It's like a given, right? Monahan and Holloway, anytime goal scorers for this week. I guess we could pick one for Dallas too. What
you need to do here's another good like fantasy betting tip. When you're like anything involving the Flames, you look at anyone who's in a major goal scoring slump.
Yes.
So it's like it's former Flames are always a good pick, but then anyone else who's like he hasn't scored in like 70 games. This guy hasn't scored. This guy hasn't
looking for his first NHL goal ever.
Yeah, first NHL goal is always a good one too. But like big time scoring slump is also a really good bet against the Flames, like all the time. So I think Jason Robertson's kind of having a tough year this year, isn't he?
Oh yeah. So there you go.
So like Jason, he's only got 5 goals this year. He's probably going to put up like a Hattie or something on Sunday. That'd be my pick.
Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet 365. So getting back to this Kyprios and Jason Bourne.
Jason Bourne? Whoa.
Justin Bourne?
Justin.
Fuck, same shit, dude.
Same shit. One's a fictional assassin.
Born Identity, man. Eh? Who's the other guy on the show? He's pretty good. He hates tree living.
Dude, this is a great show. The Kyprios show is actually great. One of the best hockey. It's way too Leafs heavy, but if you listen to like some segments later in the show, they always have really good guests, and it's a great show.
Yeah, whoever that third guy is, I don't know his name, but yeah, he's not a fan.
He hates tree living. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, but he's a Leafs fan, but he already hates him. So,
well, of course, he's obviously
because he's like
he obviously has just paid attention to reality. Then
they're talking about the Huberdeau contract. And he's like, who signed that contract? Is there any way to get rid of this? Get out from under this?
No.
Is there any play here?
No.
Justin Bourne seemed to think that if you retained half the salary, there would be a team that would take him.
Dude.
You don't think that Montreal would be interested? If you retained half, you could probably get Montreal to do it, man. Would you have to throw in another first?
Are you watching the same Huberdeau I've been watching for 3 years?
Well, the guy that you see him one time a game, and it's because he's turning the puck over. That guy.
So at half would be what, 4 something? 5.25? 5.25 at half. Would you take Huberdeau at 5.25 for the next 6 years? I don't think.
Not unless you're throwing something in.
Dude, not even unless you're throwing something in. You had to give Montreal a first to get rid of Monahan with a year left on his deal. Or 2 years left on his deal or whatever that was. It wasn't very much. That's a first.
Well, hey, if it worked once, taking a guy from Calgary, maybe Montreal thinks it would work again.
Yeah, but that guy was 27 at the time. He only had 2 years left on his deal. Oh, and he was only making $6.25 or $6.75 million. He wasn't making fucking $10.5 million to the end of eternity to score 40 points and to score all his goals at garbage time.
This is Brad's just last. This is his last.
It's his last hurrah, his last
dip, and then he dips, eh?
And he totally dips, eh?
I'm just gonna take a big giant dump on this desk and then walk out. You'll never see me again.
Yeah, bye. Can't get rid of it. You can't. You no matter how. It's like right on the carpet. You can't. You can clean it as much as you want. You're gonna have to sell. You have to sell the house essentially. It's like that episode.
I just went on a Hawaiian pizza binge all week, and now I just took this giant dump on this desk. Now you're gonna have to deal with it.
It's like when Jerry has that BO car and he can't get rid of the BO car. He can't sell the car. He literally just has to like give the car away to a homeless guy. And the homeless guy is even like, oh, this is gross. That's what this is like.
Can't sell it. Yeah, that's the state. That's the state we're in.
Yeah. I don't think you're ever getting rid of it.
Okay. Even if conservative, you're going to be good 5 years from now. The guy's still on your fucking team, making $10.5 million.
Dude, you just tell him to like go home. Is what you do essentially.
That's a buy him out.
You'd buy him out, even though it doesn't save anything. I think ultimately that's probably what you're gonna have to do.
Can we go like rogue and can we get the bacterial strain that ate Marian Hossa's skin off his?
Can we just trade him to Conroy needs to get intelligent or like creative with this. Like,
can we get some ninjas to go in there and just get a petri dish of that bacterial strain, just rub it all over fucking Huberdeau's shin pads?
Honestly,
can he get allergic to his equipment, please?
You're gonna have to buy him out at some point. Like you buy him out in like what 3 years, and just accept the fact that you're still gonna be paying him a lot, and you just it's like the sunk cost, and that's what you're gonna have to do, I think.
Fuck, man. Well, what was it? Guerin did this with Parise and Suter,
well, he just ate it, and that's the thing is like, if it's crazy if you like look back and just think about like, I think Rhett was the only person who was upset with the Huberdeau signing initially. He was like, they need to wait because like. And then after they signed it and he didn't have a very good year, he was like, they need to trade him now. Like, don't risk this becoming what it's become. It's like if they had gotten ahead of that and done, I think, similar with something with like LA did with PLD, right? Where it's like, we're just cutting our losses. The risk versus reward here is that we're going to be fucked if we keep this guy around and he's playing the way he's playing. So we're just going to have to cut our losses. Even if he does rebound, he's out of here. That's ultimately what they should have done in the first offseason he was here, instead of like firing. Yeah, we don't need to rehash that, but
the crazy thing is he's not even as bad as Kuzmenko. Like, what is going on with Kuzmenko?
The crazy thing is, all I'm going to hear after this episode is like, what are you a little negative about Huberdeau for? He's actually been pretty good this year. Yeah, he's on pace for what, 45 points?
I've been thinking about doing this for a while.
Awesome.
How many players make more than 10 mil? It's not a lot, right?
It's not a lot.
What is it, like 10? I know you
by cap hit.
I know you got dry
by actual salary.
Draisaitl, McDavid, Matthews, Marner,
McKinnon.
Nylander, McKinnon. How is he faring up with this handful of players?
Dude, are you fucking kidding me?
Are you even getting half the production?
We've never
on average.
I don't think, have we ever seen a contract like this in the NHL? Where you're paying a person this much for this little return with this little recourse in terms of like getting rid of him or getting rid of the
I would
contract.
much rather have Darnell Nurse on my team for his contract than fucking. I think it is the worst contract in the league. Is there one worse?
I don't even think in the league. I think possibly
in the history of
the NHL. Like you're looking at like even Rick DiPietro, who's still collecting like $1 million to this day from getting bought out at New York like 20 years ago or whatever it was. Like even that they got out of that, right? So this is just like this is the ultimate doozy.
Does he bring you any value at all?
So I don't think I know maybe from the outside, and obviously maybe Kiprios and Bourne know more than I do, but like I think you're going to be pretty tough.
Oh man,
pretty tough.
So last week you played 4 of the worst teams in the league. Man, this is insane. We finished recording last week all excited, literally ending on this exciting time to be a Flames fan.
Dude, I think though, as soon as we were finished though, I was like excited. They're making me a believer. Then I text you, I was like, I really would like to see a good losing streak here. I'm such a dickhead. Sorry, guys.
So you get a losing streak. You play Ottawa. They're ranked 29th in the league, third last. Detroit, 26th in the lead. That's good for what? 6th last. Pittsburgh, 24th in the league, 8th last. Columbus, 19th in the league. These are all shitty fucking teams. You got spanked in Columbus. You got spanked the next night in Pittsburgh. You made a game of it in Detroit. The Ottawa one was just a runaway with the 9 fucking penalties.
To give a little bit of credit to the Flames, even though they've played pretty shitty, the officiating this week has been something else.
Look, I don't mind the outcomes in Detroit and Ottawa because I agree. They got hosed on the officiating. Obviously, you don't like the non-call on Olivier on the direct hit from behind slamming.
Dude, that is pathetic.
Is that not the definition of hitting from behind in a 5-minute major?
Like absolutely. Charging, whatever you want to call it. It was crazy.
Is that not a video you instruct young officials on and say this is what a 5-minute major looks like? How do you review that and say, nah, that's good. We're gonna allow that. It's 2-minute minor. You're allowed to do that.
It's terrible.
You're allowed to do that.
Yeah, that's fine. You know what? It's just a minor penalty for him to do that. That's fine. That's okay.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. No, and then we're gonna let him come back on the ice and then Lomberg. Like this is like freaking Wild West shit. This is what's annoying. And then Lomberg, who is a beast, but has to go get his head pounded in because the officials can't do their fucking job. So thanks.
Yeah. Those 3 games, I don't know. I wasn't really.
They didn't deserve to win any of those games, but the overtime call in Detroit was kind of weird. Ottawa, it was a freaking brigade to the penalty box, and then the missed call in Columbus was really frustrating. So
the thing about the Detroit one, man, and I guess it wasn't reviewable, right?
No, I didn't.
It's one of those things where the linesmen call it after the fact, but still,
and honestly, it looks like I watched it. It was like, hey, I guess it is too many, right? They changed that's a very liberal change.
Well,
but at the same time, that's how it goes in overtime like that on the far
You've seen it
you
1,000
see it
times
all the time.
So unless that's going to be the new standard, it's
well,
shit.
You know it isn't. It isn't, and that's what's so annoying.
It's going to happen the reverse.
Yeah, totally.
Some team's going to change like that in overtime and then fucking not get called and go down and score on us after.
You wonder what some of these officials and guys think is just they just have oh fuck, wait, right? What are you thinking?
Like you said, you could look at it, but if you actually break it down, who was it? Uyghur and Zari going off?
I think Uyghur for sure.
Or Zari came on. And it looks like it's 2 guys coming in and 2 guys coming off super early. But if you really look at it, the one guy that came back way into the play, his change was perfectly timed. It wasn't even late at all. I think it looked way worse than it was.
Well, and also that's in slow motion. It's like a certain angle. It's just like
the second guy to come off, what people need to understand is the guy that was coming back into the play, that wasn't his guy.
Yeah.
It was the other guy that was already on the bench. I think it looked way worse than it actually was. Because I played hockey that night and we were talking about the dressing room. And like I had it up on my phone. I'm like, if you really look at it, if you break it down, pause it. Was it Zari goes off? I can't remember who went off first.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or Zari came on. But the first guy off and the first guy on to replace him, like that was maybe 5 to 7 feet. Like it wasn't too bad. The second one was a little bit stretched out, but it looked worse because it almost seemed like the first guy off was the exchange when really it wasn't. I don't know. Like you said, okay, sure, you could call it, but then I don't want to fucking not see it not called against us 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, which it will be.
But exactly.
You'll never see a call like that again unless it's a call against us. So
exactly.
I just read Robert Flames Nation just posted a stat that made me laugh there. Rooney and Kuzmenko have the same amount of points in November, too.
Wow. Fucking incredible, dude.
2 points. It's not very interesting anymore.
The boys pick up 1 out of a possible 8 points last week.
Oh.
1.
I'm not surprised. It's like the Pikachu meme. It's like the Pikachu meme where it's like my face after I just start believing the Flames is a playoff team and they get 1 of 8 points. Surprise face.
Zari had a phenomenal game, I thought, against the Red Wings.
Oh, yeah. He was player of the game for sure. Yep.
Yeah, worked his balls off. Totally earned that 1 goal.
Yeah.
The Columbus dude, we got spanked.
They got absolutely, and you know what? This kind of started in the Pittsburgh game. First few minutes, it was like, okay, the Flames came to play, and then all of a sudden, you just got like totally out of control. I was like, holy shit, we're getting shit here.
Our first 5 minutes have been way better.
Yeah,
and then they just kind of take a little break after that,
fizzle out. Yeah. Well, it's so hard when you just can't score, right? Like it's impossible. It's like you can't do anything when you can't.
Oh, it's an uphill climb. Climb every day.
It was like I remember these games like back in the day when it was like Game 7 versus Anaheim in 2006 is like the best example. It's like the Flames used to get down. Like there was a long period of time in the 2000s where it's like if the Flames got down like 2-0, it was turn off the TV and go to bed because like there's no chance.
Well, and now it's like don't even bother watching until the third period.
Yeah, and it's like they can sometimes make a game of it in the third, but it's still like it's not even they're down. It's just like it's such a struggle for this team to even create scoring chances. And then even if they do, it's such a struggle for them to finish.
I was kind of hoping to see Klapka in the lineup for this rematch against Columbus. And maybe he could have a toe-to-toe with Olivier. Olivier is fucking he's a monster, eh?
Hey, it's too bad we didn't have old Lucic out there, eh?
Yeah, we just need one more lumbering I won't call him the B word.
Somebody was like, "Oh, this is why we need Lucic," and I was like, "What?" So he can like sit on the bench while Olivier beats the shit out of everyone else.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He would never show up when it was big games, intense games, heavyweight. I'm not fighting tonight.
The Pittsburgh game, I think the highlight of the game was you going apeshit on Ron McLean yet again.
I wasn't going apeshit. It was just funny. So if you're watching the game, they're having a good, and the Flames like they got out of hand, but I thought they had an okay first period, but they're talking about the Flames, which they never really do on a Sportsnet broadcast. But they're like Kelly's talking about how they're like the hardworking team with the identity, and BX is talking about it, and Rick Bowness, who's the best part of Hockey Night in Canada now, so good, great insights. Yep. He's talking about how like that's what you want as a coach. You want to like all in it together mentality. The Flames are such a hardworking team. Ron McLean like literally interrupts him. He's like, "No, it's just like the Oilers, Rick. I don't know if you watched the game the other night, but the Edmonton Oilers down. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, great play. They came back, and that's sometimes all you need is a little bit of sticking together. Okay, let's go to Ottawa." It's like, what the fuck? We were just talking about the Flames.
He can't help himself.
Can't help himself.
Just can't help himself. So we'll see if they can bounce back from this last week. Like I said, like you mentioned, the hockey as a whole wasn't the worst. If you remove the back-to-back game, which is always tough, it's really just kind of one shitty hockey game against Columbus.
Yeah, and that's a tough one too. Like Anderson was saying, like with all he was at the Gaudreau, he was at Merida's house, and it was a tough one for some of those guys.
Kind of focused on non-hockey related issues for a good reason, but at the same time, you'd still kind of like to be able to see the guys funnel that turn it into some sort of inspiration and play the game dedicated to Johnny in that sense. They kind of played a stinker of a game, so hopefully it's different on a home ice here Tuesday night.
It wasn't a very good game. It was one of those games where the Columbus game where I'm watching like Fantilli, who's really emerging, and Kent Johnson, right? You're watching those games, and that's a reminder of let's remember where we are here and what we need. We need guys like Kent Johnson. We need guys like Adam Fantilli. We need top 5 picks on this team more than anything in the entire world. So that's what was going through my mind watching that game. It was like, it's good, cool, good story. It's good. They're like, I didn't expect them to be like a terrible bottom 3 team this year. I like watching them when they're somewhat competitive. At the same time, we still really need those guys. So not making the playoffs is ultimately going to be the best thing for this team.
100%. So it's your weekly pop quiz, Michael. Now what? I pulled the fan base.
It's your weekly flip-flop.
It's your weekly flip-flop. I pulled the fan base directly after the Pittsburgh game. Now what? Bottom 5, bottom 10, mushy middle, or playoffs? Where do we finish?
Oh, you just hope it's not. You hope it's not mushy middle. I still am going to go bottom 10 because when Andrei Kuzmenko, when your top scorer is on pace for 49 points. I don't know how you don't finish in the bottom 10.
But then there's the part of you that's like, there's no way guys don't. There's no way they continue at this terrible.
It's just crazy, like because we're 13th in the league still in terms of overall points.
There's no way Kuzmenko scores 4 goals this season, right? Is that even is that possible? Could he go cold the way he's going now? Season?
He looks like won this entire year, man.
So, but that's part of where on the other side of your brain, you're like, okay, well, there's no way Kuzmenko is going to stay this cold.
Well, ultimately, that's why you fear the mushy middle, because that's ultimately what this is like, they're 13th in the league. They put too many good games together already and put themselves in such a good spot that are they going to fall that far out of it? Probably not. Ultimately, you look at how they're playing, though. Is that enough to get them into the playoffs? Probably not. And then you fear the worst, which is like a 17th, 18th overall finish out of the playoffs, lose the draft pick. This is going to be this season is like an exercise in what mental strength as a Flames fan.
This season,
your whole life. You'd think I would have been. You think at this point I would be able to deal with shit. Obviously not. Obviously trials and tribulations have taught me jack shit. But that's really all this is like you get excited, you get bummed out, you get mad, you get this, you get that. It's just like all over the place.
Yeah. You go on. You accept your fate that you're going to be a bottom 5 team, bottom 10 team. You once you accept it, you get around it, then you can be excited about it. Then all of a sudden you're a fucking playoff team, and then you have to fucking accept and get over not having a first round pick in the top 10 this year. Then all of a sudden you're back. So, and then at the end of the day, where do you end up? Just with nothing in the mushy middle. You don't get playoffs. You don't get picks or playoffs. That's where we're going to end up.
We all know it. We all know that's our fate. Why do we keep fighting it? We all know that's our fate, dude.
So here's the results of the poll. There's still 14 hours left, so it's not over yet. But mushy middle. Yeah. 35, basically 36% of the fan base figure will finish in the mushy middle. 34% say bottom 10. 21 bottom 5, 10% playoffs. So basically, the majority of people have us honed in to finish somewhere between bottom 10 and mushy middle. Could be like,
Yeah.
and I think that's what we said. Watch, we'll get an 11th overall pick. It's so Flames. It's so Wombrand.
Yeah.
11th overall, lose it to fucking Montreal and just stay mid for the rest of eternity.
At least we still have that New Jersey pick, but man, we really need that. And like, cause yeah, fuck, dude. Mushy, that's mushy. I'm gonna say we still finish bottom 10 because, dude,
I think so too.
If like, come on, you reframe. This was a good exercise last year when it was like they were kind of like, oh, they're winning a few games. Like, I think the best way to reframe it is go back to how they look when they're not playing well, and it's like later in the season when teams that were going to make the playoffs are dialed in. We're tired. If we ultimately trade some guys, that's probably what it's going to look more like.
And that's a good point because the hockey and the league gets better as the season goes on. So the second half of the season, if we've already played our best hockey, if we've seen the Calgary Flames play their best hockey, then we're finishing bottom 10. Yeah. And I have a feeling like that might be the case.
That's what happened last year too. Not to keep saying like this year's last year, but that's ultimately what did happen is they really fell out of it in the last few months of the season.
Because you could have a few of these offensive players go on a little bit of a heater, like Kuzmenko get fired up for a bit. Gaudreau could go on a little bit of a heater. I mean, Huberdeau's not going to ever do that, ever. It's never going to happen. Gaudreau or Coronado and Zari, I don't know if they have the prowess yet to have a sustained heater. They're good in little segments. So I don't know. I don't think there's enough offensive talent that we'll see over a long enough period to really propel this team, hopefully not into the mushy middle. I just hope that we just continue to sag and just drop down. I can't handle it. I can't deal with it. And then you're looking at this team, you're like, even if we somehow miraculously get a playoff berth, does that mean Conroy is going to go ahead and add? And then what? We're right back where we started from.
Yeah, I had this epiphany over the week. Like I think the Lord is watching over our rebuild because every single time it looks like, here we go.
Yeah.
It tanks.
Every single time.
We're going to sign Hannafin and
Dating back to last season.
We won 3 games in a row. We're going to sign them. Lose 5 straight. Huberdeau goes pointless for a whole month. It was like, thank you. It's like,
Flash Stevens has done a good job of saying the same thing on Twitter. It's just like, the Flames just like, oh yeah, you wait. You think that as soon as you think that there's hope and there's any slight chance, we'll show you who we really are.
Exactly. So divine intervention. And so that's what I have faith in right now.
We've been saying this for forever. Good teams do not consistently lose to bad teams. They don't. That's it to me. You can write this into a hockey book. I'm convinced. Good teams do not consistently lose to a bad team. So if you're wondering what we are, we're not a good team.
Yeah.
Because good teams don't consistently lose to bad teams. They just don't. I think we touched on earlier the reason why is because, Husk has been driving in, Connie's been driving in this identity piece of like, you got to outwork. It gets tiring. So when you see shittier teams coming up in the schedule, these guys can't help it. It's human nature. They mentally are like, yeah, okay, we don't have to work our balls completely off tonight. We'll save our right nut for tomorrow night. And then it's just not good enough. Like you can't just will every single night. Like you need to have that elite talent. I think that's why we can't beat good teams.
Well, and ultimately this is why you need elite talent. And ultimately, this is why we need to keep losing. Ultimately, this is why we need to suck and why they need to make sure they take their time with this rebuild is because we need elite talent. And
dude, our 3 best players this season are Zari, Coronado, and Wolf. I think it's pretty clear what needs to happen here.
You don't want to do what Brad did. How much elite talent have the Calgary Flames had in the last 25 years? I think you can count it on one hand. It's Iginla, it's Kiprusoff, it's Tkachuk, it's Gaudreau. That's it. Elite. If you're talking about elite,
Not gonna be even consistent.
He's not at that level where he was elite for maybe a couple years, but right, that's the mistake you don't want to make with this whole thing. And that's ultimately we always come back to is you're sitting there watching a team being like, man, we don't have any elite talent. Exactly. So stop trying to rush it. They're not trying to, but it was funny because like you said, I think Conroy was doing an interview at TSN and he was like, yeah, we want to get this thing retooled as quickly as possible. And then they lost 4 straight to 4 shitty teams.
Like you said, there's some sort of divine, there's some divine,
Lord.
There's some sort of divine grace looking over this whole entire rebuild because yes.
Well, and you know what?
Every single time, have you noticed? Every single time there's an article that comes out.
Yep. Every time.
Or Conroy's out there saying some shit about, oh yeah, maybe we're fucking losing streak. Not even 1-2 games, 3, 4.
Yeah. And I didn't want to bring I did want to make a good I think a good example of this is a team that we looked at previously in Nashville where remember that year where we didn't make the playoffs, but we Brad traded for Stetcher and Richie at the deadline. And Nashville was ahead of us, but they sold everything. And we were like, holy shit, we can't even admit, can't we just be like Nashville? But unfortunately, Nashville kind of took a turn that you hope the Flames don't take, which is they tried to speed everything up, right? And they went balls to the wall this year in free agency and kind of tried to do what the Flames did that year. They lost Johnny and Chucky, which is bring in a bunch of rogue free agents, build a freaking all-star team with no prior knowledge of their chemistry or success. They signed Marchessault and Stamkos and all these guys, and they've been absolutely dog shit this year. They tried to speed it up and it didn't work. Their
season's cooked, man.
Totally. And I mean, I think
I'm looking at them unless they pull a St. Louis, man, they're fucked. They're ninth. They got to leapfrog 6
a lot of teams
just to get to a wild card spot.
They score fewer goals than we score. And that's a team, right? That it's kind of like the Flames. It's you look at some of their young players. They have some good young players, but they don't have those guys, right? They still have Forsberg there, but he's almost 30, right? They don't have that star guy that you need. And it's kind of funny because I was watching San Jose the other night. They beat Seattle 8-5 or something. And the kids were Will Smith and Celebrini were phenomenal. So good. And they're super fun to watch. They really suck. They lose a ton of games. They're incredibly fun to watch. And those guys are going to be so good in 3-4 years. And then you kind of look over to the Flames and it's okay, they win a little bit more. How is this juice of hey, we want to be competitive and have the kids in a competitive environment and kind of not be a bottoming out team? Is the juice worth the squeeze on that, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know. It makes you wonder sometimes.
Well, and it could just delay your rebuild. At the end of the day, sometimes it's probably better just to rip the fucking Band-Aid off, right?
Yeah. Instead of just trying to fool yourself and being we're going to be the team that we're going to be the one team that can do this quick. I know it hasn't worked before, but maybe it can work for us. No.
I'm looking at the lineup, the Lions today in practice. Everything is still status quo, I believe.
I think they're trying that god-awful Huberdeau Kadri line again, aren't they?
Huberdeau Kadri Pospisil. Sharon Govich, Backlund, Coronado.
You know what?
Coleman, Zari, Dewar. The fuck is that?
Why?
If you want to get Kuzmenko going, you saw remember how you got Kadri going last year? What'd you do?
With the kids.
Fucking play Kuzmenko with Zari and Pospisil. How come we still haven't seen fucking Zari and Coronado together on a line yet?
Well, how come we haven't seen... Oh, Kuzmenko's not playing tonight, eh? Or tomorrow.
Is he healthy?
He's the extra skater.
Pelche with Rooney Lomberg. Kuzmenko is the 13th forward. Maybe he's going to sit and watch a couple games here, hey?
Well,
why not?
Why not, eh? Even though I think I've been higher. I think 5-on-5, I don't know, maybe this is just my Huberdeau, but I'd rather watch Kuzmenko play. He's slow. The numbers bear that out.
He's been fucking ass.
But he's got 1 goal and fuck, dude.
Kuzmenko
so bad.
Fucking blows right now. I'm just gonna say it, man. Guy's fucking terrible right now, dude.
It's not
Such
very
a fucking
interesting.
disappointment.
It's not very
No,
interesting.
this is not very interesting, Kuzmenko.
Not very interesting.
Yeah, you're not. I don't even want to see your fucking memes anymore because you're no good at hockey.
I guess I was wrong where in the summer we were like, just keep them because of memes. Can't even keep them. Can't even go to the
No.
meme well anymore. There's no memes even. Fuck.
I don't want to see your fucking curly hair and your fucking.
Yeah.
This is very interesting for me right now. Fuck that. I want to see your. The only fucking shot of you out right now is sitting in the fucking press level. I like this call. This is good. Send a
I would
message.
have tried him
You
with
want to
maybe like
you want to fucking suck at hockey when you're that good? Hopefully they fucking throw a Huberdeau up there next.
I would love to see
Hey,
Huberdeau
imagine that, the two of them sitting up there together.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Excellent.
I don't know.
So,
I would have tried him with maybe like Zary and Sharangovich or something, maybe to try to get him going before this healthy scratch. But I'm not a huge fan of these lines right now. I'm glad they're done trying to stick Igor at center, but I don't know what Zary and Coleman and Dewar are doing together.
what is that, dude?
I don't know why in the I do
Rune
understand
dog.
Kadri and
Take the Rune
Huberdeau.
dog out.
Yeah. Kadri and Huberdeau, I do understand to an extent because Daryl kind of did this for a while where it was like they suck, but they let them suck together, right? It was kind of like
let them be a black hole. At least there's only one black hole. There's not two.
Don't spread the shit out. It's like you eat one shit brownie instead of 20. So I kind of understand that. At the same time, I'm sick of watching them. They don't play well. They're so opposite. They just don't mesh well together at all.
But these next two lines is like throwing darts at a board, isn't it?
Totally.
This is like
some Brent Sutter line shit.
Maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll work. It looks so like disjointed that maybe it'll actually work. It's like reverse George, eh?
Yeah.
Vladar starting? Dude, Vladar starting against the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's in the starter's net tonight. I don't know if he's starting the game, but what are we doing? Fuck me, dude.
Walker Dewar playing.
Can this season just be over, please? Can we just finish? Fuck it. Bottom 5. Let's go.
Dude, and
play Vladar. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so glad Pelche's back. Why is he on the 4th line and Dewar's on the 3rd line? Why? Someone explain that to me.
Baldheadia is what
that's such like a Huska thing to do, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the lines I'd like to see. And Robert posted similar lines. He said Sharangovich with Zary and Coronado. That's a line I think we'd all like to see. If you want to put Huberdeau and Sharangovich spot, maybe, but I think the two snipers with Zary, because that's what's happening to Zary a lot right now is he's making plays, and then his line mates are like, have their fucking thumb up their ass.
Dude, Zary is playing by himself, essentially.
He's literally, when Zary's on the ice, it's like 1 versus 5. It's like, hey, I got to go through everybody. All right, sweet. It's like Johnny's rookie year where it's like you go watch those highlights, and he's like setting everybody up, and they never score. That's like Zary right now. I think the best place, I don't know what this splitting up Coleman and Backlund thing accomplishes. Doesn't do anything. Those guys are money together. You saw, what's his name?
I think it's been proven the last 2 weeks.
Ward was trying to do this back. Remember when he had fucking Backlund playing on the wing with Monahan and Gaudreau? Holy shit. But he was doing this thing where he like kept splitting up Backlund from like Mangiapane and stuff. It's like, that works. Why? So to me, I'd put Pelche with Coleman and Backlund because that's a perfect spot for Pelche. Because I think NHL projection wise, that's where Pelche projects is like, if he's going to be really good as a player, he's going to be kind of like a Backlund Coleman type player, right? Where he's not scoring a lot, but he's affecting the game 5-on-5. He's a great shutdown guy. That's where I'd be putting him.
Well, and it's like we talked about earlier on in the season, setting Pelche up for success.
Yeah.
How do you set him up for success playing with fucking
5 minutes, Lomberg and
Rooney and Lomberg?
When you have like Dewar's like what?
I guess they could be a little bit of a tear line though. Maybe Pelche can find.
Well, here's the thing. I don't mind it if he didn't fuck around at the 4th line so much. He shortens the bench too much. Yeah, like I wouldn't mind it if he was rolling 4 lines. Like that's okay. That's like he was Coronado, Lomberg, and Kirkland when he played on the 4th line for a few games. They played great.
Yep.
But he's like we've talked about before. Huska uses the 4th line as like a demotion thing, and as he'll be really quick to shorten the bench. It's like if you want to play a young kid, that line could be good if you just like roll some lines, but I think Dewar would be more suited with Rooney and Lomberg there. And then the thing with Gaudreau and Huberdeau, I don't know what you do with them. You stick them together, obviously. I don't really care. Who gives a shit? I just want to see Pelche in a good spot. I want to see Zeri in a good spot. I want to see Coronado in a good spot. Everyone else can fuck off. I don't care.
What did you think of the decision to bring Dewar up over Kearns?
I wanted to see Kearns.
Well,
Cairns.
And the reason why
it's
you want
Kearns.
to see the reason why you want to see Cairns is he's on pace for 50 goals. You got a team that can't score to save their fucking life right now. This guy is scoring at an unbelievable clip. He's got the scoring touch this season. Maybe throw him on the fucking power play. I don't know. Like, can we see what he looks like in the NHL?
Well, that's kind of what you want to see. And I know, like, maybe you don't want to mess up his groove down there. But I think also, like, this is something that was so nice last year was, like, anybody who was playing well, kind of like you earned a call up, right? It was kind of like this consistent, like, this guy's playing. Remember how many NHL debuts there were last year? I want to see more of that. Like, I know we're still kind of in this fake, we're a playoff team thing illusion, but it'd be nice to see that. You don't necessarily have to, like, get him out of his groove. You just bring him up and reward him for the way they've handled his development as a whole has kind of been odd. You haven't really heard much about him the last few years, but why not give him a shot up here?
Well, dude, and here, how about this? Guy fucking plays center.
Oh, we're looking for an under 25 center.
We got a guy that can score 50 goals in the AHL, plays center, but I don't know.
Gotta have the Rune dog.
We should see Dewar again one more time.
It's like, I think we know what Dewar is, right?
We know what Dewar is. We know what Rooney is.
He's 27.
Hey, man, we got him in the playoffs this season, though. So, I mean, you know.
Like, Dewar's a 27-year-old guy who, like, had a nice little spurt when he was playing under that high pace, kind of like Daryl Sutter system. Maybe he's a guy who's, like, he's a tweener. We kind of know that. I would just like to see Cairns, so I hope we get to see him soon.
It's his second full season in the AHL. He's 22 years old. He's a sixth-round draft pick. Don't you want to see?
Yeah, I do.
You got something here?
Yeah.
Like, and this is my thing, is this, like, okay, sure. I can get the argument of, like, no, he's having success. Keep him in the AHL. Keep him where, like, I get it. I can see that argument, but I'm going to push back against the argument, argue the other side of it. It's just like, we're year one of a rebuild. We can't score fucking goals. Yeah. If there was any a great up, is he gonna be at a 50 goal pace next season? He's playing the best hockey right now he's played in his career. Let's see what that looks like on the NHL ice. Well,
and ultimately that's right. Like, that's what this season is about, is seeing what you have. Like, this is why it was so goddamn frustrating when they wouldn't call Phillips up or what, like, you know, all the time. It's like, let's see what we have. We're not Stanley. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't want to see what we have like on other NHL teams.
Exactly. Like, well, do you want to do that experiment of, like, oh, well, didn't do jack shit in Colorado. Well, we could have learned that here. That would have been nice, just in case they actually turn out to be a player. And I mean, how Zeri was having a good year last year when they called him up. Was that like we don't want to mess him up, right? Who cares? And honestly, you don't want to mess him up. Who cares if you mess up his AHL season? If he comes up and is great and you know you have something here, awesome. We've just added another young player who's a center, that's a position you've identified as a need and are supposedly out there fucking shopping for every goddamn week. You could have one in your organization. So let's see him.
I mean, Mike Gould tweets like, yeah, I mean, Dewar deserves the call up. He's been great
He's been good. He's been scoring a lot of goals. I understand.
Sure. So he's been great. So he gets a call up. But if you've been fucking outstanding, you don't get one. Yeah. And again, it's a frustration because the rules aren't the same for everyone. Yeah. That's what I don't get. Just because of an age. There's always a propensity to favor the veterans in this organization. When, hey, the writing's on the fucking wall, man. This league gets younger and younger every single season.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing too, right? It's like we've talked about this kind of like at length before. Is like teams like who are like Dallas, right? Like none of these other teams have this weird like, oh, they've got to be like seasoned in the AHL for 25 fucking years before we can ever even see them. It's like these guys who are on like Dallas on these good teams are like 22 isn't even that young in the NHL anymore. Like some guys have been playing for 4 full seasons who aren't necessarily like super high draft picks. right? So it's like, let's go here. Like, what are we doing? Like, we made this joke with it's like Pelche. I was like, by the time we know if he's already 24, isn't he? Or 25? It's like when you're going to be good again, he's going to be like 30 at this rate. Let's fucking go here. See what you have. What are we doing?
Huberdeau got to max out that.
Yeah, like
we got to get our value for that 10.5 mil, man. We got to keep
like guys who okay, like I know he's a 6th round pick, but guys who were drafted in the same draft as like Zeri was in the draft that Karen's was in. Like guys have already played 100, 200 games, right? So like could we maybe just like get a
Stankoven and
exactly
Johnson?
Those are the examples. Exactly. Those are the examples we always kind of use is like other teams don't have an issue with this. It seems the Flames always kind of do have like this weird thing with age, and
there's other prime examples. Those two players, Stankoven and Johnson are examples of them, where if you actually go all in on your kids at a young age, the ceiling can get pretty fucking high. If you don't have to fucking give the ice time to Huberdeau instead.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like, where are we at in our life cycle as a team? That's why it's frustrating. That's why you want to see them more. And we did see them last year, and it was awesome. Like, how many guys did you see? And Postles and Zeri came up in revelations. Don't you want to see that again? Like, what if Karen's comes up and it's like, holy shit,
Justin Wolf.
Yeah, we have.
That's all I want to see.
That's all I want to see. That's the only thing that I want. It's the only thing I care about in this juncture of the Flames timeline. It's the only fucking thing I care about. You think I tune in and go, oh, Huberdeau and Gaudreau are playing together tonight? No, that makes me want to fucking blow my brains out.
You think I want to see this team somehow miraculously claw its way into a fucking wild card position and play the Oilers in the first round? Yeah, I really want to fucking see that.
Get swept.
I need that like I need a shotgun blast to the face. All right, Johnny Gaudreau tribute night is coming up. Before we get to that, let's just touch on how the prospects are doing. And obviously, there's been some serious World Junior snubbings announced today.
Dude, is it even what is worse than a snub? This is not even a snub, is it? This is like full.
What is going on? Who's picking these teams?
Oh, gee, I wonder why Hockey Canada can't win anything, eh?
Oh, fuck. We could have had 5 Calgary Flames prospects to watch on Team Canada. And do we have any?
Is anyone going? No, I don't think so.
Muse, Misa, cut. Perek, cut.
Not even invited. They didn't get invited.
Morin. These guys not even invited to camp, so they haven't made cuts yet. What is going on?
Not even invited, bro.
Why?
Good question. That's what everyone's asking today. Dude, Carter Yakimchuk didn't even get invited. You know the kid who's like amazing?
We just had to fucking mention something last podcast. Did we jinx it?
What did we say? How fun it's going to be to watch.
Exciting time to be a Flames fan. World Juniors is going to be great. We're going to have so many players to watch.
Dude, 3rd overall pick, Beckett Seneca. He didn't even get invited. There's like so many egregious like omissions.
Aginla's not even invited.
They didn't invite Tej. Who is running this shit show? You know what? I said this earlier online. I was like, you know what? This is a good thing. We don't need the Hockey Canada stink on some of our guys. At this point, I'm actively cheering against them in the World Juniors with how poorly things are being run. That's probably the worst. It's so bad. I don't know who's picking this roster. It's insane.
Not invited.
Like, it's just brutal, dude.
Poirier not invited. Morin not invited. That's obviously Poirier's brother, but is he drafted yet?
Yeah, Carolina.
Okay.
He
was at our camp either. Wasn't he at our camp at some point?
No, we had Parek's brother here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. It's bad.
Any other prospects you want to touch on?
I don't know.
That's unbelievable.
Zane's lighting it up. Morin's lighting it up, but they're not good enough, eh? Yeah, very weird. Very strange.
They're still in the top 3 in defensive scoring in the entire OHL, and they're a CHL. I mean, and they're not invited.
Super odd. It makes no sense. I don't know. I don't know who's picking these teams. They've had a weird didn't they make some weird selections last year where they were kind of like doing this thing where it was like galaxy braining it and being like, oh, we've just like won a well-balanced roster. And like, they were like, kind of like, it's like, remember I remember in 2000, the Olympics in 2006, when like Sid, they didn't bring Sid. Like Gretzky was like running the team and they didn't bring Sid, and they like had like all these grinders, like Chris Draper was on the team. And like, it was this idea that like, oh, we want like a more like balanced lineup because you don't want like highly skilled players playing fourth line role, and they got absolutely shit canned. It's like that sort of weird thinking.
You're right. I think you're right.
So they didn't even medal last year. And well, dude, somebody who posted it, that Pete Hughes, he was like, he posted on Twitter. It was like, here's a Team Canada reject team that would probably beat the current Team Canada with like Iggy and Greentree and Parekh and Chadwick and all these great players, and Morin and Muse. Like, yeah, this team probably would beat whatever they're going to put together. It's crazy.
Weird.
Super weird. I don't get it.
Did you see some of the projections of the Four Nations Cup? It looks like USA is going to be fucking just kill us.
Can I be honest with you? I'm cheering for the USA in this tournament.
I think I am too, man. I'm cheering for Matthew Tkachuk over Connor McNeckbeard, dude. And I'm in a run.
100%.
I hope he doesn't win. I hope he doesn't win shit.
Yeah,
Uyghur's probably not going to make the team anyways.
Yeah, he'd be.
Hopefully, Anderson makes Team Sweden.
I'll be cheering for Sweden in the States, man.
I'll be cheering for Rass and Matthew Tkachuk. Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, I always used to say this back in the day when we were denied Johnny and Chucky playing together at the Olympics or World or whatever. I was like, I would 100% be cheering for those guys over McDavid and the rest of them, because screw them. USA, baby. USA.
All right, let's segue to Johnny Gaudreau. Before we get into looking at the Columbus game and the Gaudreaus coming into town, I wanted to post this, man, or to share this. I posted this. This was out. This shit went viral, dude. Over 350,000 impressions. I don't know what's at now, but I don't know if it'll get to 500,000, but it's a fucking lot of people seeing this. Almost 10,000 likes on Twitter. Cole Caulfield scores his 13th goal of the season in Columbus last week, wearing Johnny Gaudreau's number 13. At the 13th minute mark of the second period, the assist was Slavkovsky's 13th point of the season.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Well, dude, it's pretty cool, and it's kind of in line with kind of some of these like kind of like divine, like, right, like the Flames game tomorrow against the Blue Jackets is a 13th home game of the season. The Blue Jackets and Flames game the other day was at 1:00, 1300. There's just all kinds of these kind of cool little, coincidences, not coincidences, that keep happening. So
I'll give you one more on this one in particular. There was actually, oh God, there's a few people on Twitter like, actually,
oh, it wasn't the 13th minute.
The 13th minute, if you're being specific,
yeah, I saw
down. That. It's just like, okay, well, if you did score in the 13th minute and it was 6 when you're watching whatever it is on the TV, it wouldn't be as fucking meaningful, would it? It's the number 13 on the screen that you're looking at is more meaningful. But if you're being official, then it was at the 6 minute and 34 second mark. What's 6 plus 3 plus 4?
13.
It's incredible, dude.
It's totally incredible. And Caulfield's having a great season. There's another reason to cheer for the States.
Yep.
And it's such a bummer because that was something I complained about for a long time. It's like, I just really wanted to see, because I don't know, like, I'm not as into international hockey as maybe some other people. I always loved watching.
Dude, I just remember fucking when it was Lemieux, Yzerman, Korea, Iggy, and they won
McKinnis,
going down the Red Mile, celebrating like it was the Stanley Cup, dude. It was fucking awesome.
And it's because it was Iggy. Like, it was awesome. I remember 2002. It was like Iggy was a late invite to that camp, and he was leading the league in scoring and ultimately got invited. And ultimately, he was one of the best players in that tournament. Scores two goals in the gold medal game in 2002. As a 20, he was like 24 or 25. Super underrated. But like, that's why I really loved watching it. It was because of Iggy. And it was the first time as a Flames fan, because back in those days, pre-social media, like, the small market effect was real. We complain and joke about like no Flames coverage now. Like, imagine it's like 20 years ago now. You never got any like recognition, nothing. Like, I would listen to the Flames games on the radio, watch one on Hockey in Canada a week. It's like you felt like you didn't exist. And to see Iggy there on the like biggest stage of all time performing, it was just so awesome. And then obviously again in 2010 when he sets up the goal.
Both times he was like, oh, should he make the team? Okay, we'll put him in a third or fourth line role. And he's like one of the best players in both tournaments.
Exactly. So that's ultimately, I'm not a huge, like, crazy, like, oh, Hockey Canada guy. So I always wanted to watch Johnny and Chucky play together. And it was a huge bummer that we didn't get to. And, you know, Chucky had a good quote afterwards. He was just like, we talked about it, like, after the tragedy happened. He was just reflecting on it, being like, it's such a bummer because we both love wearing that jersey. We both love playing together so much. We talked about it so much. They would have gone to the Olympics that year that they were playing so well together when they were the best line in hockey that probably we've ever seen. They would have played together at the Olympics that year. So it's just a bummer they never got to play together. So I'll be cheering for the USA, not only for Chucky, but for Johnny as well.
Nice.
USA.
I still think if you were to ask me what's the greatest hockey goal I've ever seen scored.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
You know where I'm going with this? I would go back to
Lemieux, Pronger between Lemieux's legs to Korea.
Yeah, the greatest hockey play I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
and the player that made the play didn't even touch the puck.
It was insane.
That was the coolest thing of all time.
Yeah,
like you said, if you have not seen that goal, you're listening to this. How would you search that? What goal is that? Pronger to Korea.
Well, it's in the gold medal. It's in the gold medal game in 2002. I think it was the first goal Canada scored
between Lemieux's legs.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Well, dude, the USA goalie is Mike Richter, and he used to play far out of his net, but he is so far out of position when Korea scores because he thinks like Lemieux's taking that puck.
Oh, dude, he sold that like that.
It was, and he even just like it goes to his legs, and he's just like.
Winds up, fakes the shot, lets it go through his legs, right open to the guy with the wide open. That was the greatest hockey play I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And it didn't even touch the
puck. Yeah, it's crazy.
Fuck Lemieux was fucking him. Oh. He was a magician, dude. There was one tweet the other day. It's just like, who's one player across any sports league that if they never had an injury, if you go back, like that's the one, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. He might have been able to break some of Gretzky's records.
I think even Wayne has been quoted as like, yeah, Mario was like the best, like of all time. I think there's two players from that era. Peter Forsberg too was unbelievable, but Lemieux, man, like, dude, there's that. I remember watching this kind of like on old Don Cherry review or stuff because I was too little. But like that year, he came back from having cancer.
Yeah,
he came back like halfway through the season. And ended up like winning the scoring title. It was fucking nuts. Like, you want to talk? That's insane. He came back from having cancer halfway through the season and won the scoring championship. That's insane.
Oh, so good, man.
Like, that's the bet. Is that the greatest hockey achievement ever? That's insane. That's crazy.
All right, let's get to Johnny. Guy's in town today practicing with the team. It is so good to see Guy with even, I don't know if you can call it a smile on his face. I think he's got a bit of one, but at least just not to see him look like he's absolutely fucking devastated and can't even walk and needs help walking. Man, I'm just so stoked that the family's here, that they're getting all the love and support from Calgary at the moment. They're all excited to be back in Calgary. You're going to the game. I think it's just going to be probably a game that you'll actually remember for the rest of your life. Is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I've been thinking this has been obviously circled on the calendar for a long time. We weren't sure if the Gaudreaus were going to be coming to town, but we assumed it. And then it was confirmed last week that they would be honored at the game. And you know what? Like, I haven't really like felt that like been overcome with emotion over the last couple months since it happened until I opened up my phone this morning and saw Guy like in Flames gear at the Saddle Dome, and it was just
so
like
awesome.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. This is gonna be magical. Like you said, they're gonna be on the ice probably.
Yeah, I think they'll do like a pregame, maybe a puck drop or something, but the whole family's there.
Yeah, they're gonna get one hell of a standing ovation.
Yeah,
I already know Calgary fans are gonna fucking nail this one out of the park. We always do.
It'll be crazy. It'll be, man, it's gonna be tough, but man, I'm so glad to see them back. I'm so happy to see them back.
Me too.
So it's gonna be, man. I wish
there's gonna be some what do you call it?
Waterworks.
What's this salty discharge?
Exactly, cutting on you. Well, dude, me and my buddy are going, and I texted him a picture of Key this morning. I'm like, we are in trouble tomorrow. Every time I went down to the
wear your sunglasses.
Yeah, every time I went down to the memorial in the summer outdoor sunglasses. So I think it's just gonna be a great night, but it's also gonna be really hard. I don't know. Obviously, it's a lot of emotions at once. So I hope we can show them how much they meant to us. And that's what's crazy too, is like the fan, like Johnny transcended, the Gaudreaus transcended the city because it wasn't just the player, it wasn't just him, it was the whole family. Yep. And to have them in town is going to be amazing.
Monty.
Yeah, you know and Monty's there.
You know what? That's so. We haven't even brought this up as a point yet. Of just like, you want to talk about auspicious, you want to talk about all these 13s all over the place. How about fucking Monahan will be there for Johnny Gaudreau's team returning to the Saddle Dome for the first time?
Yeah, well,
that is so cool.
You think about it. You think that's why he signed there ultimately. And you know, we all have a lot of bit of bitterness of like Monahan not being here, and he's a guy who should have been a Flame for life. But ultimately, he's exactly where, you know, because they did a great. Leslie did a great feature.
He's sitting next to you. Saw it. You saw it in the little segment that they did when the Flames were in Columbus. Monty is sitting next. They still put Gaudreau's jersey up for game nights in Columbus. Is his gears are still all in there?
Yeah, Stahl's there. Yeah.
And it's funny, hey, it's just like Johnny played. Was it one full season in Columbus? Two
full years. Yeah,
2 full years in Columbus. Yet who's the guy sitting next to him?
Yeah,
of course it's Monty, right?
And like you said, the segment they did, lives 2 doors down from Meredith and the kids. It's like, yeah, he's exactly where he needs to be. God bless Monahan.
I agree. It's cool how, you know, when you peel back all the mundane shit of day-to-day life, sometimes just the magic that actually, you know, the magical storylines, it's cool. It's cool. You're right. He's right where he's supposed to be. He talked about it. You know, him and John always talked about their kids growing up together. That was one of the things they really wanted to see. They're still going to grow up together, just without John. Pretty cool segment too. I think it was Leslie in the home.
Yeah,
and
with
the interview with Meredith.
Rasmus was there.
Yeah. So Flames fans, you already will, but the Gaudreaus. That's going to be a magical night, man. There's going to be you're going to feel the magic in the building for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we talked about what we wanted to do for this episode with the Columbus game coming up on the schedule, some of it was just going through the memory banks. It's interesting because when the Flames were doing the little rebuild, you know, when they drafted Johnny and Monty and Johnny, and they started playing hockey for the Flames again, I was actually in California for 2-3 years, and it was right around that time. And back then there was no streaming, right? Yeah. So, and like you're in California, you're not even in a hockey market in the States. You just can't get Flames hockey, and like it's not possible unless you have a satellite, which Blitz always saying obviously didn't. So I kind of lost touch with the Flames there for a bit. When I came back to Calgary, I remember like, oh yeah, talking to my dad, what's going on with the Flames? He's like, you got to see these two kids, Johnny. Like, there's something, like, there's just fucking magic, and I had no idea what to expect, really. And because like I said, I had just retired from playing junior, needed a break from hockey, was in California. The last thing on my mind, come back, starting to kind of get interested again. And I remember the first time watching these guys, I'm just like, holy fuck, is this special to watch? Johnny was just one of those guys, brought you out of your seat, kept your eyes on the ice every single shift, just made it fun to watch the game. And their chemistry, not only on the ice, but off the ice, it was, remember, it was just like Johnny. It was the Johnny and Monty show.
Yeah.
Everything was Johnny and Monty, Monty and Johnny, Johnny and Monty, Monty and Johnny.
It was such, you look back and it's crazy how long ago it was now. Like, if you were born back then, if you were like 10 years old when Johnny and Monty first broke into the league, you're like a full ass grown adult now. It's crazy how it seems like literally yesterday, but it was so long ago. But, I wasn't like totally out of hockey, like you were saying, but I was like, it was definitely a really shitty time. And you really didn't have much interest in the Flames. They weren't good. They had ended up trading Iggy. It was just kind of like, eh. But all you really had was this promise of this kid who you really didn't even think, you didn't think he was going to become what he became. It was kind of like an interesting thing.
No, and even 2-3 seasons into it, you're like, oh, he's entertaining, but he is so tiny. Can he keep this going? Right.
Yeah. And he ultimately just and that's what's so great about Johnny is the whole Johnny hockey lore, right? Drafted in 2011, that's a really shitty time for the Flames franchise. The whole Feaster thing, trading, but most everyone is totally checked out. We're just like, like, this is awful. We're not making the playoffs. We're terrible. Our franchise, Kipper, Iggy, it's all gone. Nobody is really paying attention at all. But, Johnny's winning the Hobie Baker. He's lighting up the World Junior Championship. You're like, holy shit. Like, he's pretty good. But back then, even, we kind of forget the small bias because it doesn't really exist anymore. Back then, it was still, absolutely huge.
Because of him.
Yeah. And it was just he's too small, and you can go through NHL drafting scouting reports of that year. It's this Gaudreau kid's no chance. Too small. Yeah, he wins the Hobie Baker. He's too small. Yeah, he's great in the World Junior. He's too small. I remember even going to preseason games when he first showed up here and being like, holy fucking shit, he is small. You forget how small he was. You can go look at those pictures, his first development camp when he's here, and it's Hoodler was quoted as is that guy 12? Who is that kid?
Yeah.
And he's in the weight room and he's so fucking tiny.
Weight room? I don't know if he wasn't even working up. Yeah. Right?
There's a picture of him sitting on the floor, doing some sit-ups with one of the Flames guys when he first came here. And it's just whoa. And I remember if you go on YouTube and look up one of his first development camps, Pinder, actually, a young Ryan Pinder with no beard and no long hair, bushy-tailed, bright-eyed Ryan Pinder, when he was working for the Abbotsford Heat, I think, is interviewing Johnny. And he's just dude, it's the backdrop. And Johnny's down here. He's you're just holy shit. All right. But then I remember in preseason, they are playing the Avs. This was the first year he would have signed out of college. And like I said, there was a lot of excitement, I remember. But it was still he's still small. There's no way this is going to be an NHL thing, right? And he scored a goal in the preseason against the Avs where this is a perfect Johnny goal. He grabs the puck, darts to the middle, toe drag, roof. I was holy shit. And that's kind of what started happening was every time you saw him play, he was he can't keep this up, right? He's too small.
No.
Unbelievable play, unbelievable game. Yeah, he's too small. Breaks into the NHL. I remember his first 10 games were kind of tough. He didn't score a lot. You're kind of this is kind of what we expected. He might be a decent player for us. Then he scores. I think he scored twice in Winnipeg. And he had that hat trick game against the Kings on the game before Christmas. The game before Christmas, it was his first NHL hat trick. Flames are down 3-0 to I think they're the defending Stanley Cup champion, Daryl Sutter Kings. This is my first Johnny memory for sure in the NHL. And They're down 3-0, and he scores. And he scores again. And he scores with like 20 seconds or 30 seconds or a minute left. There's a bank shot. Tie the game. Then Gio scores in overtime. Go to Christmas. Everybody's feeling great. They went on a run and ended up making the playoffs. It was just like,
crazy.
It was crazy. And like, you have to remember how fucking shitty it was back then. It wasn't even that we didn't expect that. There was no realm of possibility of that happening, of that team making the playoffs and that player becoming how good he became. It was just crazy. And, I've said this before, like he had as much as an impact on the team and the city and the franchise as Jarome Iginla did, basically
100%.
For a whole group of fans, right? Yep. Like there's no Flames fans right now without Johnny Gaudreau. Like we'd be so irrelevant. It was insane.
Yep. Well, and it's like coming back to what we were talking about earlier, and Elliot Freeman saying Johnny Gaudreau gets you into the playoffs. Yeah. He got you into the playoffs that season.
And he was the kind of player who he's the kind of player who only like top 5 picks change for franchise around in. And that's like, those aren't guys you just come across. Like he totally changed the franchise.
Hey, maybe Dustin Wolf will be the next one of those.
That's what
absolutely. If you redo that draft, where does he go?
He's top 3 pick. What is he? They had the Huberdeau stat the other night because Huberdeau got his 500th
fucking Huberdeau
assist.
Do not speak his name during a fucking Gaudreau memorial here, bro.
That was the 2011 draft, and like Kucherov, Huberdeau, and Gaudreau are like the players from that draft, right? So he goes top 2, right? Top
absolutely,
3.
He goes ahead of Huberdeau. Are you kidding me?
I think that was the year Nugent Hopkins was first overall. So you'd probably go Kuch, Gaudreau, maybe like Landeskog or Scheifele or something. But he's one of the highest scoring 4th round picks of all time. And it's weird how fast time goes back because obviously over the last few months I've just been like watching kind of like season by season highlights, and man, you really do. I mean, I don't, because I know a big part of this show during kind of the years of Johnny and Chucky and Monty was pointing out how good they were. Yeah.
And all the haters saying, "Oh, we'll never be good in the playoffs, never do anything."
Like, I know we really appreciated it. And that's probably coming from a place of like, because like in the last 30 years, has there been much to cheer about as a Flames fan? Have you really had much? Right? It's been very slim pickings. So I remember during those years, we were just like, do you understand how grateful you should be to watch this kid play hockey every night? Exactly. This is something we would say all the time, like, especially in those years and like when he was really on fire, like 2018, 2019. If you could pay to watch one NHL player play hockey every single night, we'd say this all the time. It was like, for us, it's Johnny Gaudreau. It's not McDavid. It's not McKinnon. It's not Sid. It's not Ovi. It's not Kane. It's not any of these guys. It's Johnny Gaudreau. And we have him right here. And it was so fucking awesome. Because even like Iggy, when he was in his prime, like he wasn't that kind of like take you out of your seat. This guy is amazing hockey player.
Yeah.
Johnny Gaudreau is probably the most skilled player the Flames have. He's the most skilled player they've ever drafted, ever. Easily. But he's easily maybe like Kent Nilsson back in the day. He's probably the most skilled Calgary Flame to ever play for them. And, it's crazy to just go back and kind of season to season watch how good he actually was, because you kind of forget, right? And I mean, even at the time, even in Calgary, and that's why we were always huge Gaudreau defenders, because it wasn't even that he was like kind of like underrated. It's like people were shitting on him all the time. But even in Calgary, he was underrated. Across the league, I don't think people realized like how much of a superstar this guy was. Like in his career, which was like, I guess 10 years, which, man, that's so sad. He was 4th overall in primary assists, 9th in total assists.
4th, what, league-wide?
League-wide. All players in the league. 9th in points, 8th in even strength points, 16th in game-winning goals.
Jeez.
And the only American player to have more points over his time span, and that's in his career. If you just count Calgary, like he's higher. He's top 5 in most of those categories because he was so elite in Calgary. But he was so good for so many years. And, like just seeing him grow from, I don't know. It was shitty when he left, but it was so satisfying that year that he finally went off and had that unbelievable season in 21-22 with Chuck and Lindholm. and just, man, that was so satisfying to watch.
Was it 115 points?
He was so good.
And then he finally proved all the doubters wrong and scored a playoff series clinching goal.
So good in that playoff series.
Probably the first guy since Jelena to score a playoff series clinching winning goal.
Only 3 Flames have Game 7 overtime winners in the playoffs. Is Joel Otto in 89, Marty Jelena in 2004, and Johnny Gaudreau in 2022. And so many...
Interesting, like you bring up a size... Did he ever get clocked? I think
never.
Once he got hit in the open ice or something like that, and we are like, hey, is something gonna do something about that? But fucking never. Couldn't hit the guy. Fucking water bug.
Dude, he took... I've heard his dad talk about this. I've heard him talk about it. It's like the Tyrion Lannister line where it's like, never let the world forget what you are. Wear it as armor. Use your weakness as a strength. That's what Johnny Gaudreau did. He didn't let his size impede him. His size was used to his advantage. That's what was so fun about watching him. It was like, he was so slippery. He was so quick. He never let himself get hit. He never even really let himself get touched at all. It was crazy. And somebody would try to, especially early in his rookie season, like his first year, where people would try to hit him and he would just make them look ridiculous. Like I remember that goal Monahan scored in the second round in the playoffs that in his rookie season. Johnny just dances around the entire Anaheim Ducks team, right? It's just like, holy shit, he's in, they score. It was just, whoa. Like you try to hit him, you can't hit him.
Yeah.
He was so evasive.
And remember, he would throw the odd hit too.
Well,
he had like 3 hits in his career.
Yeah. I remember that last season, there was that crazy game against Nashville. Remember that game where Lucic absolutely destroyed Duchesne.
Yes.
But Johnny was like there's that great gif of him like fake punching that guy. And he's like, so awesome.
That was awesome.
So great.
It was funny because I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know what? Like trying to think back to the earliest memories of Johnny. And I talked about first seeing him in Monty and just being like, wow, we got something special here.
Yeah.
But just seeing the bromance and the on the ice and off the ice, the bromance the chemistry between those two players is just something special and unique. Like, have you ever seen a bromance like this?
No.
In any sports league, really? Like, is just hilarious. I mean, there was that. I remember, I don't know what season it was, but Johnny and Monty are doing like the skills comp, and they're trying to promote the skills comp, the upcoming Flames skills competition, and they're like in the stands trying to hit the empty net in the far end of the rink. They're just shooting from like somewhere in the at the top of the second bowl.
Yeah.
Just like doing stupid shit like that. And it's just like Monty versus Johnny. And then they're doing like skeet shooting on the ice. And Monty's always beating him. And he's just like doing this little fucking, monotone one-liners.
Yeah.
Just like giving it to Johnny. Just the two of them are hilarious. And then obviously Chuck comes into the fold. They got that retro night commercial. Remember that shit?
It's retro night.
if there is one guy out of the three that should not have had a line, it was Monty.
It's retro night.
It's retro night. Okay, one more time off the top, Monty. Can you add a little more emotion to this one?
It's retro night. So, yeah, that's good enough. We got to have this to production by 3.
Let's wrap it up. Fuck. Remember when Johnny came to camp looking like the Pirates of the Caribbean? It's like these little things, man. It's just like, yes, off on the ice, I have a bunch of memories, but it's just like,
yeah, exactly.
It just made it fun to be a fan.
Yeah,
follow the team again.
That's what was so great about it. And like looking back, that's what I said. Slim pickings over the last 30 years in terms of like being a Flames fan, but those years, like when Johnny was here and we were kind of in it, like, do you remember how great game nights were? Like, especially when we were just first starting the podcast.
Yep.
Johnny and Monty had just like hit their stride as elite players. Kachuk was like right there coming up. It was just like those nights were so fucking special and so awesome to like not only be watching them, exciting, going to the games on like there was nothing better in the entire world than like 2018, 2019, like those years, Saturday night, like Flames and Oilers. Nothing better. There's no place in the world you'd rather be than going to even though it's fucking shitty and cold out, going to watch those games, going to watch Johnny and Monty do their thing. It was so awesome, dude.
Well, you just knew going to the rink, going to the dome, that you were probably going to be brought out of your seat by those two. You just knew it was just inevitable. It was a matter of time. Like I remember my dad and I went to a game one time. We were sitting like third row. We got late cheap seats right behind the net in LA. You couldn't see fuck all. I much prefer sitting in the second bowl. But Johnny came down on a rush. The cool thing about sitting ice level is you see what the players see. And all you really see as a player is fucking 10 other giant bodies in front of you. Like it's so hard to see plays unfolding, and Johnny's ability to read plays and see plays was just astonishing. He came down the ice, did a quick dangle. I think it was a quick give and go from Monty to Johnny, and then Johnny just held onto the puck, came down, deked out one of the big fucking LA defenders, and then he's like 5 feet on the side of the net. And you're like, there's zero play here. There's nothing. There's nothing left to do. He has run out of room. He's run out of time. The next thing you know, it's in the back of the net. It's like he found Monahan in the slot somehow, some way. Monahan buries, and you're just like, how the fuck did he even see that? Because you're sitting there, and I guess if you're watching on the TV or your second bowl, you could maybe see the play unfolding. But at ice level, you're like, how the fuck did he even like? He made the play behind him. He just knew somehow where to put it, like without even looking. Like those two had unreal chemistry, man. Such a joy. There's a San Jose game. I think they both had like 4 points, scored four goals. That was when San Jose was good too. But just some of the plays those guys made together is just like you said, exciting to go to the game because you knew you could beat anybody at that point.
And you kind of forget like how good, like I said, you just go back and watch kind of like highlights, like extended highlights. You forget like how fucking good not only Johnny was, but how good he was with Monty. It's just like, what an absolute delight it was to watch those guys. Like it was so great, like every single night on any given night. And ultimately the team didn't really have, and you look back and it's like, it was awesome. It was so awesome. It'll take a while for anything to even come close.
Yep.
To what we got to watch for 5, 6, 7 years of those guys playing.
And they had Kachuk playing with them at the same time.
Like I think my favorite, like there's a lot of obviously great Gaudreau moments, like the Anaheim goal with 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
His whole rookie year was awesome. The hat trick against the Oilers, the hat trick I mentioned against the Kings. There's so many great. I think my favorite like regular season game I go back to was that season opener in 2018. Where they had acquired Lindholm in the offseason and hired Bill Peters. And it was kind of like, we like don't really know. They played Vancouver in the home opener. It's probably the best game I've been to regular season wise in forever. Johnny was absolutely on fire. It's like he set up Monahan for a goal. He sets up Lindholm for 2 goals, or at least 1 goal. He scored a goal, dancing. They win 7-4. It was just, those were the glory days, man. Chucky and Johnny and Monty and Gio and Lindholm. Just fucking awesome to watch.
Remember that shootout goal he scored against? Was it the Wild? Yeah. I don't know who the goalie was, but just his skill level was insane, dude. Yeah. Beating Patrick Kane at the skills comp.
The skills competitions were always like, that's because those weird stick handling things that nobody else could even do. Yeah. Like there was that one year where I think it was 2017, no one else could even like complete it. And Johnny just did it like so easily. It was just his skill level. That's what I'm saying. Like was underrated. Like people don't realize how good of a player he was and how skilled he actually was.
Yeah, that shootout goal against the Wild, like he's skating backwards and he's still like stick handling. And then the goalie's just like, I can't keep doing what I'm. So he's just covering the bottom of the ice and trying to flip.
Yeah,
that's fucking epic.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I reference his stats like in his career. I mean, his stats while he was in Calgary from 2014 to 2022. Just to put it in perspective of just like how good he was comparatively to everybody else. Primary assists in the entire league, he was 4th behind only Blake Wheeler, Patrick Kane, and Connor McDavid.
Wow.
In points, he was 6th, behind only Brad Marchand, Leon Draisaitl, Sidney Crosby, Patrick Kane, and Connor McDavid.
Elite.
So we weren't talking about like, it wasn't like he was our guy and like he was one of the best players in the entire league for the entirety of his career in Calgary. He was so good. He single-handedly revived this team from being a complete irrelevant mess. And that's not even to mention how fun it was. His family always being around. Like I haven't seen the family of a player on a sports team embrace the way that the Gaudreaus embraced us in Calgary, and we embraced them. Like it is a very special thing that you don't see it all in sports.
100%. No, it was funny that remember that season when he would only shoot 5-hole. He had like 50 breakaways.
Yeah.
He'd go like 5-hole every time. And then never score. And I think, was it Sutter the next season? And then Sutter must have told him, like, start going to the roof. He scored like what, 40 goals after that? Like,
well, yeah, I think it was the bubble. It was the bubble season he kept trying to go 5-hole, or was the season before where like the shutdown eventually? I think it was the 2019-2020 season where he kind of had a rough year, but he kept trying to go 5-hole. It's like every single time he's going 5-hole.
Never worked. And then someone obviously is like said, stop shooting 5-hole. Must have been Daryl.
Started going high glove, or he would do the sweet. He scored a playoff shootout or playoff penalty kill shot goal like this with the fake high glove 5-hole backhand 5-hole.
Yeah,
that was working.
That's the year he scored 40, man.
Yeah,
that season was,
dude.
That was probably the most fun I've ever had outside of the 04 run. Being a Flames fan. Every time he came down the ice, it seemed like they scored a goal. Like it was insane. And remember that one like saucer pass from Tkachuk, just ridiculous. Like 3 zones to Johnny on a breakaway, just comes down and shelves it. This is every night we were getting treated.
That was incredible. He had what? He had 90 even strength points in that season, which is the most even strength points an American player has ever scored in one season. I think he's like 3rd or 4th in all-time like single season point scoring for Americans in that season, which is crazy, 115. But that was like the best season we've seen from a player, like even straight. Like that was one of the best seasons we've seen in the modern day ever.
Was that the Zach Cassian stay off the track season? Was it the same season? No,
that was the 2019-2020 season. That was earlier. That was the year it got shut down in COVID eventually.
Fuck, was that fun too, eh? Was it the why I should change season?
Why I should change. Yeah.
The stick flip.
Did the stick flip. That's what I'm saying. Like and I don't know, like this group of fan base like us and who were kind of through maybe if you weren't lucky enough to be old enough to like kind of remember this or whatever, like those were the days, like I said, the stick flip game, the stay off the tracks game. It was just like, that was the best, man. Just any time between 2014, probably the glory years between 2018 and 2022, where, man, even though they kind of disappointed in the playoffs in most of those seasons, we were in it, right? We were right there. And we had the guys, we had the superstars, and it was just so much fun. Fuck, was that fun, dude. I remember being at like the stay off the tracks game where they win 4-3.
Yeah, you were there.
I remember being at the goalie fight game.
Talbot and Smith, that was a different game?
That's a different game.
I can't believe you were at the stay off the tracks game.
There was a 3-week span, because I think it was like those games happened in like, I think January, February.
Yeah.
The 3 games between like stay off the tracks, Tkachuk fighting Cassian in Edmonton,
yeah, and
the goalie fight game. Those 3 games happened within like maybe 3 or 4 weeks of each other. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but that was, dude, do you remember what that was like, those games?
That's insane, dude.
That was insane. It was just like, it was fucking cinema.
We made fucking t-shirts, bro.
It was amazing. Like that eclipse, like even when the playoff series against Dallas, like that was the height of being a Flames fan for me. And it was just crazy. And that's the thing. It was like,
we were good.
We were good, and we'd go toe to toe with the best in the league. We'd go toe to toe with the Avs. We'd go toe to toe with McDavid and the Oilers. Like there was a point there where Monahan and Gaudreau were outscoring
Draisaitl
and McDavid. Like there was a point where we like no problem, and ultimately we run into them in the playoffs that year and get like when they were at their height of their powers.
And Jacob Markstrom had to be Jacob Markstrom.
Yeah, exactly. And he sucked. And you imagine a few more years of Johnny and Chucky together, like we probably have a Stanley Cup Finals appearance the next year, So, but man, just so many great memories, and it was the best. It was the best. That's all you can say. Watching Johnny Gaudreau play for the Flames, he'd be my favorite player forever. It was the best. It was the fucking best, dude. And he took being for me being not a casual Flames fan, because I think it was a hardcore Flames fan, but he took it to like another level where it's like being a Flames fan is now part of my whole life. It was like, it took me from being a sports fan to being like some sort of spiritual thing where I was just like, I fucking love this team. I love this guy. I'd go to war for this guy. I'd do anything for this guy. It was the best.
I love how, his final season as a Flame is the one we talked about where he gets over the hump, proves he can be a playoff performer, scores a series clinching goal. And that's the last memory.
Yeah.
I don't remember one play of Johnny Gaudreau against the Oilers that season losing. This right here is my last memory of Johnny Gaudreau. Him and Monahan embracing in the tunnel after the series. Jane Gaudreau going on Twitter, just talking about how proud she is, and Johnny getting the A and all. It's just like, it's insane that what happened.
You still can't
tragic.
wrap your mind around it.
Like you said, there's still magic circulating. This family and the legacy that he left behind. I'm anticipating more magic in the building tomorrow night. But he left something. He left more than something, man. Him and his entire family just touched so many people in so many ways. Touched the hockey world in so many ways. He'll be a forever remembered. He'll go down in the history books.
Yeah. Well, and that's, when we were in the summer and going down and when everything was happening, like that's what touched me the most, because I kind of felt like this was maybe a me thing and a very Flames fan specific thing was like, okay, we love John. Like I didn't realize how far reaching, how many people, Johnny and the Gaudreaus, like everyone loved him, and his legacy, like what a legacy he leaves behind him and his brother and his entire family. Like, man.
Yeah. Did you have any more kind of record-setting stuff you wanted to touch on?
I just like in terms of Flame stuff, like it's just like he would have if he had stayed in Calgary.
Yeah, I know, right?
He would have he's still there. He's 5th all time in points, 5th all time in assists, 5th all time in game-winning goals, 1st all time in overtime goals, 1st all time in overtime points, 5th all time in even strength goals. 3rd all time in a single season assist total, 2nd all time in single season point total, 6th all time in multi assist games. There's probably a bunch of other records that I'm not even thinking of, but he was a great Calgary Flame. And like you said, the lasting memory of him scoring one of the biggest goals in franchise history. And it's him and Iggy, man, as the best Flames of all time.
Definitely. All right, man. Anything else?
I mean, I could talk about Johnny Gaudreau for the rest of my life. So,
well, you've been doing a great job of maintaining his legacy and on Instagram this season, and just going through some of the historic stuff that he has done as a Flame and in the NHL as a whole. Other than that, like this Columbus game, I'm glad you're going to be there representing. And I don't know what to expect, but I'm sure it will not disappoint.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm so glad the Flames are doing this. I know we've had some moments like they did, the great tribute to him season opener, but this will be something special. And yeah, it's going to be it's going to be great, but it's going to be tough. So.
All right. Well, in loving memory of Johnny Gaudreau.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long-form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.